What could today's soldiers have in common with the men who fought in the wars of ancient Greece? The Trojan War, for instance. That was the question one of our next guests posed when he put actors at a table, reading words written in the 5th century BCE, and asked veterans of Iraq and Afghanistan to give it a chance. Before we meet those guests, here's a clip from one of his theater of war events. It's from Sophocles' play Ajax, and you'll see Reg E. Cathy as Ajax and Frances McDormand as his wife, at a point where the famous hero has been driven to desperation by all the killing he's seen and done.
Pray for my death too. I will not live when you are dead.
Darkness, my light, black abyss, take me down to live in oblivion, for I am no longer worthy to live among gods or men. Athena, gray-eyed goddess, daughter of Zeus, will torture me until I'm dead. Nowhere to run, no escape. My greatness lies on this heap of beasts. I defeated myself with delusion.
It is hard to hear a strong man say such weak words.
You surging straits, roaring with waves, you caves, you groves along the coast, you have held me at Troy for many long years. No longer when I have ceased to fill my lungs with air. I speak to those who understand. You river streams of Scamander, Cylinder of Greeks, you shall never see my face again in your waters. I will say plainly, the face of the best warrior ever to be seen in Troy, who came from Greece, now lies here, wallowing in filth, stripped of all honor.
It's not for me to say if you should hold back or go on this way, having seen the evil things you've seen.
Ajax.
Okay, apologies first of all for breaking that up, but that is the very reason why podcasts were invented for sure. This idea has been working very well apparently since the New York City Department of Veteran Services and the Department of Cultural Affairs have named Bryan Doerries a public artist in residence. Congratulations, sir.
Thanks so much.
And welcome to BK Live. The hits keep coming.
Yeah, indeed.
Thank you for being here. Now, one of the citywide partners in this project is the Brooklyn Public Library, our favorite library. And we're also joined by its Vice President of Arts and Culture, Jakab Orsós. Welcome. Thanks for coming here. So, first of all, like looking at that performance and the fact that you even managed to keep all that passion and power seated in a chair while he was emoting so much in the green space there, how did this idea come about?
Well, so I was a classics nerd in college. I studied Greek and Latin. Everyone told me I'd never make a living, and
you got a job.
And now
no bread.
I'm a defense contractor. Yeah. So, but you know, early in the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, when we started to see troops returning from overseas. Right. There were a number of stories that started to run in newspapers. One was called the Walter Reed scandal, when our nation's flagship Army Medical Center was seen as deficient, wasn't really serving the needs of veterans returning, people waiting in hospital hallways for treatment. And I started to see in these stories reflections or reverberations of stories that I knew from ancient Greece. Yeah. And I got this idea in my head, if I could simply put these ancient stories from the 5th century about betrayal and loss and sacrifice and suicide in front of audiences who'd experienced these extreme things, that something powerful would happen.
Okay, so you are a classics guy, so you're used to long quotations. So indulge me for a second, because this came from the New Yorker. So in an article that they had last year, they spoke about the theater of war. Robin Wright wrote, 60% of veterans from most of our recent wars now suffer a mental health issue related to their military service. And according to a survey by the Iraq and Afghanistan Veterans of America, 40% have contemplated suicide at least once. 20 veterans kill themselves every day. The Department of Veterans Affairs reported from the first comprehensive study of military suicides. So I'm going to go to you, Jakab. Taking into account all of that and hearing that this project was out there, what was the conduit for bringing it to Brooklynites en masse?
I'm fairly new at the library. I started to work there less than a year ago. I'm European, by the way, as you can hear. To me, one of the biggest surprises starting to work with the public library here was how open how seriously is here taken the fact that libraries are public spaces. They are, as opposed to European libraries.
Right.
And
libraries are very alive and
very
breathing
much
things.
so, very much so. So when I first saw a year ago one of the performances by Bryan, I immediately went up to him and talked to him about the idea to bring some of these performances to the library, because with that, bringing this galvanizing events to a library, it actually not only gives another layer to his performance, but it also gives another layer, another meaning to what a library should do and should mean in our society now. So to me, and thank God to the entire management of the library, and more importantly our audience, it really works. So it belongs to public spaces like a library.
So speaking of those public spaces and that audience, Bryan, how do you break the seal? Everybody wasn't a classics nerd when they went to school, and getting people who have experienced these things firsthand, getting their butts in the seat. Like, you know, it can be pretty rare. A lot of NPR types filling the green space, but how do you
it's a great question.
get past that language to the feeling of it?
For a long time, I didn't really think I was good at anything other than convincing people in positions of power that this was a good idea. So we've done it in places like the Pentagon, Gitmo, for the guards, where it was made mandatory for everyone to see Prometheus Bound. You know, we did a performance recently in Ferguson the week after one of the leaders of the Black Lives Matter movement was found dead, and it was a police community relations performance of Antigone. You know, convincing people to take the risk as the part of the value proposition of what we do. It's really the challenge. You know, I think one of the core values in the center of our work that's different than others in the cultural world and different than the classics world is we believe that audiences with skin in the game, who have lived the extremities described by these plays, who know the meaning of sacrifice, who've loved, who've lost, that these are their stories and that we're not there to teach them anything, that in fact they know more about the plays than we do. And what we found is when we approach audiences with a true humility and a true respect for the experiential intelligence that's in every room, then these really powerful things, because it's not about an exercise in us teaching people to, you know, about the ancient world. It's actually about the ancient world being imbued with meaning and significance by people living today. And so once people get the hang, of course we have these famous actors and we have press and we have
damn good actors.
And the beauty is in the beginning we had generals saying, you know, 1,000 Marines, you're voluntold, what they say in the military. And would that we could volunteer people to go in the commercial theater to come, because we wouldn't have so much dreck on Broadway if we could tell people to come to the right stuff. But needless to say, we're always looking for who are the influencers, who are the people who can compel a crowd to come, because we can talk till we're blue in the face about the project, but until you're in the room, you know, you really haven't had the experience.
Well, a lot of that comes from matching the play to the environment as well. So what goes into say, all right, let's mount this, let's give Ajax a go?
It's pretty much what Bryan was talking about. To me, I'm coming from the festival where I used to run an international festival of literature here and human rights and politics. And
you were here for that before.
Yeah, actually I saw you before here. Yeah. So. With a different hair, longer. I think that art is the conduit of everything uncomfortable. And we have to be comfortable with this feeling. And once you can project this idea and you can create a safe place for being uncomfortable, being disturbed, not expecting any answers to your questions, but being safe and feeling safe to be able to address some of the most disturbing issues of your lives, that's where the library comes into the picture, and that's where art comes into picture, and this is a perfect project for that.
Well, this is where I get in the plug from the people upstairs, because Theater of War will be part of the BRIC Open Festival that's going to take place later this month. You can hit us up on our website at bricartsmedia.org to find all about how this whole building will be activated. But short of that, where else can they see the next reading and get involved?
So the next performance is on Thursday night at the Crown Heights branch of the Book and Public Library. Yes, this coming tomorrow night. And that actually illustrates the collaboration. Immediately after only doing one performance under this residency, we're now swinging the project into new directions. So we have 18 projects, but Theater of War, the main project, already we're bringing audiences together that wouldn't necessarily sit together. So in Crown Heights, half the audience will be members of Save Our Streets, which is a sort of violence.
SOS.
And half will be veterans. And we're going to be exploring the connection between urban violence and gun violence and violence overseas and what people have experienced. And our panelists will be veterans and they'll be former gang members. And we're going to sit down and we're going to use Ajax as the glue that brings us all together. And what we're doing here at BRIC, which is really exciting, is the premiere of a new project on race. And it's the first time we've delved directly into it. We've done police-community relations, we've done gun violence, but now we feel almost emboldened by the current political environment, so just go for it. And we're doing. It's not an ancient text.
Okay.
It's
which
the
ancient text got into that.
Against all odds, we convinced the Martin Luther King estate to give us the rights to his final speech, which is called the Drum Major Instinct.
They're very tight with that.
They are. So we're doing a fully sort of embodied reading and performance of the Drum Major Instinct with several actors, and then a full gospel choir that includes our choir from Antigone, from Ferguson. Half of the members of the choir are police officers from St. Louis and Ferguson, and half are Black Lives Matter activists, Michael Brown's teachers or the soloists. And it's bringing this full complement of people together, both to celebrate King's legacy, to interrogate where it left off in 1963, and to leave room for a conversation with the current liberation movement to say, do we have to throw out the legacy of this transformational leader in order to progress, or can we tap into the power of what this speech is really speaking to in our time?
Well, you have walked us right up into our final second. Thank you both for being here. I've never been happier to be an employee of BRIC, so I have a ticket. You guys better get online right now, because that sounds phenomenal.
Yeah.
But thank you for being here and the work that you're doing.
Thank you.